Hey everyone, it's Chef Todd Moore. We're back together again today. Good, I made it live. I want to make sure that we have no technical difficulties today like we have in the past. That's good. Welcome. Hey, welcome to my home kitchen. Beautiful downtown Baltimore, Maryland, Charm City, and we're going to cook today. I love when all our carefree cooks get together, and especially when I get to demonstrate something. I know that we talk a lot, and you've got your web cooking classes lessons. You've got 700 videos or so on YouTube. You've got a few hundred on Facebook, all to keep you updated on what's going on in our Carefree Cooks community. But that doesn't mean that we never stop learning. That does mean we never stop learning. It doesn't mean we do. You get the idea. We don't stop learning. I know I never stop learning. I never stop learning from you either. It's so funny. I was welcoming someone, a brand new Carefree Cook today, and they were telling me how much they hope to learn from me, and they want to learn from our community, and these are their challenges and so on. And as I was welcoming them and writing them, I recalled so many times that I've learned from you, that I've learned something that I didn't know before, or I've learned from students in culinary schools. So that's the reason that I keep going live and we keep doing these cook-along segments. And a lot of it has to do also with lowering my heat a little bit. A lot of it also has to do with our community has gotten so large. It's almost 10 years old now. Web cooking classes, can you believe it? Started in 2009. So there was a time where I knew everyone immediately, and I still know a lot of people. I mean, if you think there's a robot that answers the questions and takes care of things, it's me. I read all of your comments and suggestions. Even though I can't maybe sometimes immediately respond to it, I do read them all. I keep up on all of them. But there was a time where there were 31 Carefree Cooks, 31 lifetime members of web cooking classes. I remember the very first one, Anna Eshnick. I wonder if Anna is still out there because we were so amazed. We're like, oh my God, somebody is joining our philosophy. Somebody is joining our world. It was so exciting when it was the very first person. Now there's tens of thousands, literally tens of thousands of people that we reach out to, that we talk to every day. That's why I have to go live, because I get bombarded with questions and I can't answer 10,000 of pretty much the same question. And this is the question that's been coming at me this week. Chef Todd, what is the best way to cook ... Chef Todd, what is the best way to cook chicken? What is the best way to cook beef? What is the best way to cook shrimp? And this question, it is so hard to answer. It's like, what's the best way to play the guitar? What is the best way to draw a drawing, make a painting? It's all up to the artistic interpretation. But you know, one of my favorite phrases is learn the rules like a pro and then break them like an artist. And that's Pablo Picasso, something that I've run my whole teaching career by, because you know our philosophy. Learn the methods of cooking and then you can change it. So for those of you that are asking me the best way to cook chicken, I have a tale for you today. Oh, it is ye old tale of 3 chickens that we have today. Because the best way to cook chicken is the best way for the result that you want. So if you're looking to make your chicken really brown and caramel colored, maybe it needs to go on the barbecue grill. Or maybe it needs to go under direct heat in the broiler. Or today, maybe it needs to go in the saute pan. If you want your chicken really moist, but you don't care how brown it is, maybe it needs to get poached in liquid. If you want your chicken, maybe it's a larger piece, it needs to be surrounded by the hot air, maybe it goes in the oven. So that's the way this tale goes, and I hope you stick around for about 5 minutes or so to see the last chapter and how it turns out. But it is our tale of 3 chickens, and what I have for us today is the 3 chickens. This is the chicken that loves dry heat. This chicken probably lived at Miami Beach or something, laid on the sand, the hot sand all day long, just love it, getting baked by the sun, direct, intense, conductive heat. Chicken number 1. The tail of chicken number 2 is the chicken that just really doesn't like to lay out in the sun. This is the chicken that you would see with a lot of suntan lotion on or an umbrella over it. This is the chicken that really likes to swim. This chicken loves the water, loves to be out and play, and chicken number 3 is really an introvert. Chicken number 3 just likes to stay in the house all day long. Chicken number 3 doesn't like to go out, likes to be just surrounded by all the things that it has today. So if you find this a very silly Dickensian analogy, stick with me, it's going to get sillier, because we're going to take chicken number 3, who just loves to be inside all the time, and chicken number 3 is going to go in the oven. All right. Chicken number 2, who loves to be at the beach, we'll move over here now. Chicken number 2 is going to get poached. And you see right now the water is at a boil. There's a big difference between boil, simmer, and poached. But what I'm hoping is that the boiling water calms down when I put the cold chicken breast in. I'm also going to lower the heat because I've got too many bubbles going around here. These are too violent. This is a boil. I don't want that. I might even move it off the burner for a minute, let that calm down. And the third pan I have here, here's our chicken breast that loves to lay out on the beach in Miami Beach, loves to get baked by the sun, and I've got some dry heat that we're going to use. Here's my saute pan. Let's take a little bit of water, right? Cup of water that I always keep nearby, water on my hands, and I put that in the pan. Whoa! Okay, I want you to see this, because I preheated this pan. Do you see those droplets of water racing all over the pan? They're not evaporating. Whoop, they're not evaporating. I'm going to have to come back here because this is an important lesson. This pan is way too hot. Okay, you know, I talked about it the other day. Now look at me, I'm trying to do a live cooking demonstration, and I told you that not everything needs to be perfect. That was the topic of our Carefree Cooks Code this Tuesday. It doesn't always need to be perfect. And again, I love Valerie Bertinelli, but the way the editing goes, there's never a mistake. You've already seen 2 mistakes in mine. This water was way too hot for a poach, so I've slowed it down to a simmer, and this saute pan was way too hot to saute in. If you put water in your saute pan and it scurries around like that, that's called the Leidenfrost effect. And your water isn't even touching the pan. The water is so superheated that it's actually hovering above the pan, and it forms a bubble over top. If you start your 9-step saute procedure and you see a pan where the water scurries around like that, you've got to stop, cool the pan, and start over again because your oil is going to smoke immediately. So I've been holding this pan in the hopes of cooling it. Let's go back to the stove and see my poach is still too high, so I'm going to turn that down. Try the water again. All right, I've still got some droplets. That means it's too hot. Over to the sink, I'm going to run cold water under the bottom of the pan. Not the inside of the pan, but the bottom of the pan. See, that's the bottom. To try and cool that pan down. Controlling the heat is the key to cooking. There you go. Do you see how the water now evaporates and turns to steam instead of running around in little droplets? Now I'm ready to cook. We're going to start with some olive oil, just enough to barely coat the bottom of the pan. We're going to toss this pan around. Whoops, spilled some chicken stock there, right? I'm moving the pan around, jostling the pan, trying to get all the oil to cover every part of the pan. And next, I'm going to tilt the pan back and forth and watch how the oil gets heated. Watch how it goes from being perfectly smooth to being striated. And as soon as it starts to get these legs in the pan, that's when I know it's just about to smoke, and that's when my chicken breast goes in. That's the chicken breast that loves Miami Beach. Remember, we talked about that. So here's the idea with my tale of 3 chickens. Really not doing a good job of controlling the poach here. But here's the idea with my tale of 3 chickens. The best chicken, the best way to cook chicken is the end result. So let's imagine this. What if we were making chicken salad? All right? We probably want a really moist chicken for that. We either shred it for chicken salad or we cut it into cubes for chicken salad. Something moist would probably be needed. And if you have an opportunity to add flavor to it as well, then I would poach it. I would poach it in liquid because you can add a chicken broth flavor to it, or you can poach it in orange juice or something, make an orange chicken salad, poach it in lemon juice and dill or with lemon slices, and you can actually add the flavor to it. That's the tale of the chicken that likes to swim. That's the advantage of that. The disadvantage of the chicken that likes to swim, let's go back here and I'll show you that. The disadvantage is there is no color, right? There is no appeal, eye appeal to this chicken whatsoever. And that's the disadvantage versus my sauteed chicken breast, which I'll turn over now and look at the nice color on the sauteed chicken. Now, the sauteed chicken breast, remember our chicken that likes to lay out on Miami Beach, likes that direct conductive heat? Well, what happens when you lay out on Miami Beach? You get a tan, right? If you spend all your time in the water, you don't get a tan. But if you're at Miami Beach laying on the hot sand, you're going to get a tan and it's going to be browner. So this is the difference between dry conductive heat and moist convective heat. Really in our poach, the heat heats up the, quiet there, saute. The heat heats up the chicken broth that I have, and then the chicken broth cooks the food. Meanwhile, the heat heats up the metal in the saute pan, and the metal cooks the food. So our tale of the first two chickens is the difference between cooking indirectly in moisture and directly in a dry environment. One will give you caramelization, give you that nice brown color. The other will give you moisture. Depends what you want to do. Are you doing enchiladas? If you're going to stuff something, poach, moist, add flavor. Are you going to do fajitas where it's going to be sliced and you want to see that nice caramel color when everybody puts their own fajitas together? Then you want to saute or grill it. You get the idea? So this question of what is the best way to cook chicken, it involves a whole tale of 3 chickens, one of them still remaining, which is our guy in the oven here. And this is our chicken breast that was kind of the introvert. Remember, they don't like to go out. They certainly aren't going to be found laying on the beach. They really don't like to go out in the water or anything like that. They just like to stay inside and watch TV. But look at the problem with staying inside and watching TV. Not only do you get a lack of color, like our poached chicken breast, but look at the shrinkage. Let's go back to this camera. All right, back camera so you can see a little better. Okay, here's our 3 chicken breasts that we cooked. Look at the difference. They started out, they were the same size. They were from the same chicken. I know that. Now, I did slice them to be a little thinner, but our chicken breast right here that was in the oven, look at the coagulation of proteins. Look at how much that chicken breast shrunk. It shrunk because it was in a dry convective environment. It was in the oven where the hot air cooked the chicken breast, and that's where you get the most coagulation of proteins, the most stiffening. The second chicken breast in our tale of 3 chickens was the one that was poached in flavorful liquid. Notice it didn't shrink as much as the first chicken because it's cooked at a precise temperature. Simmering liquid can never get higher than about 212 degrees at a boil. I tried to keep it down to a simmer or a poach at about 185 degrees. So that's why this one doesn't shrink as much. Plus, the chicken breast that's poached is going to be a lot more moist than the one that was dried out in the oven. But really, what everybody loves to see, look at the caramelization on the chicken breast that was cooked under direct conductive heat. This thing got brown very quickly because of the direct application of heat to the pan. This would be the same thing if you grilled it. This would be the same thing if you broiled it. This is the basic idea with a tale of 3 chickens. So it could be the best of chickens. It could be the worst of chickens. It could be the chicken of wisdom, the chicken of foolishness, the chicken in the epoch of belief, or the chicken in the epoch of incredulity. It's a tale of 3 chickens today. And the best way to cook chicken is applying the correct method for the end result that you want to achieve. For at that point, there will have been no better thing that you could have done. Oh, I messed up that one as well. But look, this is so important to cooking. And really, this one solution solves so many questions that are asked of me. Because ultimately, the key to cooking is controlling the heat, is picking moist heat versus dry heat, is picking indirect heat versus direct heat. And how you control that heat makes your chicken the best way to cook chicken for that time that you're cooking chicken. It's not a question that can be answered in one way, but I became very glad because in doing research for my class this weekend, I started seeing what other people were saying about this. So I went to Google and I typed in the best way to cook chicken. But you know what Google does when you type that in? It fills in all these other suggestions. So I was heartened immediately because it said the best way to cook chicken for fajitas, the best way to cook chicken for soup, the best way to cook chicken for a barbecue, the best way to cook chicken for Indian food, the best way, and that's the answer. That's the moral of the tale. The best way to cook chicken is the two words that are missing after. The best way to cook chicken for chicken salad is poaching. The best way to cook chicken for fajitas is grilling or saute. The best way to cook chicken, a whole chicken, bone-in chicken, for a chicken salad is going to be in the oven. So that for the dish is the most important part. And again, controlling the heat is the key to cooking. And that's why I'm on here today, because I don't want you to just randomly cook things. I want you to cook things with the end result in mind. The best way to cook chicken for what you're doing. And again, don't let me limit you to chicken. This could be the best way to cook tofu. This could be the best way to cook beef or shrimp or scallop or anything. You know, heat, how cooking works hasn't changed in decades, including when Charles Dickens was writing. So the heat hasn't changed, but how you control the heat is really the key. And that's the main topic, actually, of my class, starting now, actually. Going to be running all weekend long. It's the 5 skills taught in culinary school that are essential in all of cooking. It's a class that thousands of people have taken. I'm glad to be re-releasing this class this weekend, adding some new sessions for it, so you get to pick a time that really works best for you. But the 5 skills taught in culinary school that are essential in all of cooking will explain to you the effects of heat on food. You'll also learn about the bottom-up cooking method that professionals use versus the top-down cooking method that home cooks use, and it all has to do with how you apply the heat to food. So go ahead and hold your spot in the next class right now. Go to webcookingclasses.com/skills to hold your spot in the class that works best for you. And remember, the key to cooking is not making the best chicken breast period, or the best tofu period. It's making the best one for the way that you're going to use it. And using heat, moist versus dry, direct versus indirect, is really the way to go for the best results in your cooking. Thanks so much for spending a quick few minutes with me on a Thursday today. This is Chef Todd Moore reminding you that there's a method to your cooking success. Bye-bye.